Hi Leo, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your January 2024 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who like, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's Celtic Cross spread as always, and I also pulled a 4 agreements and Wisdom of the Oracle card for you guys. But we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where you folks should be as far as that goes. Okay. We have 8 and 8th house energy for you guys as Pisces. Astrologically speaking, it's a little quiet there. I mean, Neptune did start going direct there recently. We have Saturn there as well. I just mean there's like nothing significantly happening in Pisces in January. But 8th house energy in general points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments. And I do see Pisces energy in your spread as well. Okay, we have the moon. So as far as the moon, definitely some significant cycles there. Of course, we're at the time recording this, we haven't had the full moon in Cancer yet, which is your 12th house of spirituality, blind spots, and mental health. We're also going to have a new moon in Capricorn around the middle of January, and that's going to be in your 6th house of work, daily routines, and health. And then, of course, toward the end of the month, there's going to be a full moon in your sign. So definitely could be some significance with that. And we have Aries. So Aries is actually your 9th house of philosophy, higher learning, foreign affairs. We have the North Node there and Chiron there as well. And when we do have that new moon in Capricorn, it's actually going to square the North Node in Aries. So it could definitely be some significance there too. All right, so with those transits in mind, we'll get started with the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the Strength card, which is the major arcana card for your sign. And challenging that, we have the Nine of Swords. So seeing these two together could just be saying that you could be holding back from something, right? Maybe even something that you really desire. And the reason being is you could just really be overthinking it at this time, right? Maybe experiencing a lot of anxiety. Trying to figure out, looking at it from every single possible angle. And obviously, you know in your particular case why you're doing so. But that's what seems to be the case now, where it's like your instinct is telling you to go after something, but then your mind is getting you wrapped up in not taking action. And there's obviously a clash there. Okay, in the foundation position, we have the Knight of Cups. So Pisces energy there, like we talked about with the dice as well. So yeah, I feel like this is saying on the one hand, you really are being led, maybe even it feels like it's happening through a spiritual channel to where you're being led to take action on something, but at the same time, there's this resistance on your part to doing so right now. All right, in the past position, we have the Six of Swords. So for some of you, this might be something that you've already had experience with, right? And in the past, you might have mentally thought to yourself that you needed to leave it behind. So it could just be one of those things where maybe this is something where you may have actually separated from it in the past, or at the very least had the desire to, but now you feel that desire to re-engage with it coming back up, and that could be throwing you for a loop. All right, in the present position, we have Judgment. So yeah, this energy here definitely seems to be an indicator that for whatever reason this is meant to be back in your consciousness at this time. So yeah, you might even be like seeing signs and synchronicities nudging you back in this direction and not sure quite what to think of it, right? Because maybe it didn't end on the best of terms, right? Or this is something that you've just been looking at for a long time, but haven't really interacted with it directly. It could just be one of those things as well, where you're like, oh, I don't know, I feel a little nervous about this. All right, in the near future position, we have the Eight of Cups. So more Pisces energy here. And yeah, seeing this with the Six of Swords and Nine of Swords, I feel like this is saying that this is something, whatever this is, it seems like you've been trying to talk yourself out of it, right? Like, okay, nope, looked at it from a logical standpoint, and I think I should leave it behind, right? Like, nope, totally disconnecting from the emotion behind it and leaving it behind, right? So I feel like you're looking at it from all these different angles, but I don't feel you have necessarily left it behind. So And then seeing the Judgment card there, like I said, it looks like there is a reason for that, right? Why you haven't fully been able to leave it behind yet. All right, in the position of your influence in the situation, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So Capricorn energy here, and yeah, this could definitely be an indicator of holding on to something, right? So yeah, could just be one of those things where, okay, since we see a pentacle here, I really don't think for a lot of you this is necessarily a financial thing, but let's say it's a job, right? And you're like, okay, it's stressing me out, right? I don't feel emotional fulfillment to it, but it pays really well, right? So it could just be one of those things where you can't talk yourself out of fully leaving it behind for that reason, right? So you could just be weighing the pros and cons and saying, okay, yes, I feel like it stresses me out. Emotionally, I feel completely disconnected from it. It doesn't fulfill me, but it pays really well. So, you know what? I'll ride it out, right? So it could just be a dynamic like that. Now, like I said, for a lot of you, I don't feel like it's necessarily a financial thing. It could be more of a one-to-one relationship or even just a mindset, but that's one practical way that I could see the energy playing out. In the environment position, we have the Four of Cups. So yeah, again, another indicator that what is being offered you're not necessarily happy with, right? But at the same time, it looks like there's resistance on your part to go after what you truly would want. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Knight of Swords. So yeah, I feel like for a lot of you, given what we've been talking about, this is probably a hope for you, right? Where you're like, actually, I do hope that I could just go after this thing, right? You feel you might even be getting frustrated with yourself at this point. Like, okay, why can't I just do the thing, right? So that's what I see with that. And in the outcome position, we have the Two of Swords. So actually seeing this here, this is a Libra energy. So for a lot of you, it could just be as simple as this is a conversation that you feel you need to have, but for whatever reason, you're just really reluctant to do so, right? So maybe the conversation is around expressing your needs, right? Maybe you might say, oh, I feel like we don't communicate enough, right? If we look at the swords energy there, oh, I feel like we're not connecting very well emotionally, right? So it could just be one of those things where you want to express to someone like, hey, this is what I feel is lacking in the situation. But again, like I said, it looks like there's a lot of anxiety around it. Maybe because you feel like if you do speak out in that way that you would lose the connection altogether and you're not prepared for that yet. All right. And bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Cups. So this could be an indicator, and like I mentioned with the moon, the lunar cycles, maybe the full moon in Cancer toward the end of December here before we physically get into January. Some of you might feel it then, or at the very least, maybe when there's the full moon in your sign. This could be one of those things where maybe it just sparks that desire in you again to where you could say, okay, maybe you look at it through a more loving lens, right? To where whether you're being hard on yourself or just being stressed out by another person, I feel like this is going to infuse that more loving angle to look at the situation from, which could benefit you. All right, so moving on to the Four Agreements card, we have always do your best, and it says take action without expecting a reward. Okay, let's see what this says. All right, it says do your best and take the action because you love it, not because you expect a reward. When you take action without expecting a reward, you enjoy every action and you can even receive greater rewards than you imagined. So, interesting message there, right? Because it was talking about doing something because you love it. And like I said, with the Strength card there, it looks like you're holding back from going after something you desire for whatever reason, right? And then here, this is almost holding on to something like, well, we already went through the example where I was saying maybe it's one of those things where you feel stressful, the situation you're in, right? It's not emotionally fulfilling, but it pays really well, so I'm going to stay in it, right? So if it's a dynamic like that, it could just be saying, well, that would be the reward part, right? But if that's all you're getting from it, right, then you might feel like it's not necessarily fulfilling in the way you need it to be, at least at this time. All right, and then moving on to your Wisdom Oracle card, we have Regeneration. There's the artwork, and the number is 46. So yeah, this definitely makes me think of the Judgment card as well. We'll see what it has to say. Okay, essential meanings says rebirth, second chances, new opportunities. The Oracle's message. Second chances are available to you now. Whatever opportunities you thought were dead are now revived in a more authentic, stronger form. Whatever you may have perceived as a failure or loss is now being replaced by something better and more powerful growing in its place. This rebirth is assured. Step into your new life. Destiny is being fulfilled in wondrous ways. So, interesting message there, right? Because reading that message, it made me think of one of the angles I mentioned where, like I said, maybe this is you being very self-critical at this time for whatever reason. And if that's the case, it sounds like you could, easier said than done, I'm sure, but at least it sounds like it's saying that you could let some of that go as well. Okay, the relationship message says the world is based on connections and relationships. No matter what loss has occurred in the past or even now, death and endings are only illusions. There is life after death, love after loss, and in this moment, you are radiating the regenerative life force energy that makes you irresistible to love in all forms. Now is the time when you will see evidence of this new emergence. Can you feel it? Love is rising up to greet you. Yeah, another interesting message there because that makes me think of maybe the Ace of Cups, let's say, right? So for some of you might not be feeling that energy just yet, right? Looking at the Four of Cups energy in the environment. I feel like it's saying that you will feel it sooner rather than later. The prosperity message says, what happens when it appears you failed at something? Do you see the beauty in the lesson? The understanding that arises from difficulties is like a seed that lies dormant for a time. Then, once it germinates in your subconscious, it pushes through into your awareness. It is becoming apparent that there is a new you, a new start. A more powerful version and form of what you began to plant in the garden of your imagination has surfaced. You are ripe for success. New opportunities, much better than those that came before, appear like gifts from the gods. Now is one of those times when out of seeming loss and failure comes a remarkable abundance. Do not dwell on the past because you really are experiencing a rebirth. So yeah, another interesting message there, right? Because the more we're going through these messages anyway, where I didn't necessarily see it that way in the main spread. For some of you, this could be what it is, right? Where maybe you did experience what you thought of as a failure, so then that might have caused you to be very self-critical to where you kind of moved away from your own nature, right? Which is where you operate best. You might have been holding back around that situation for fear of repeating that cycle. But from all we've seen, it doesn't look like that would be the case. So hope that resonated for you guys. We'll wrap up there. Hope you have a good New Year and holidays in general, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.